Hi everyone, it's Agnieszka from 5-Minute Language. Welcome to my channel. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I make language learning videos pretty much every week, so if you're subscribed, you can make sure that you don't miss anything that I publish. So today's video is about something that's been requested actually in the comments on my videos, and it's a video about how to learn and memorize grammar. How do you learn grammar when you learn a foreign language? And I know that there are many people who actually hate the idea of learning grammar. They really don't like it, they don't want to learn it, they find it difficult, so they're looking for a different way of making sure that they know the grammar of the language they're learning. So I'm not going to necessarily say that grammar is not important, because I think it is very important, but I'm going to give you different ways in which you can learn it if you're one of those people who doesn't like just, reading grammar rules and learning them off by heart, because it's probably not the most effective way of learning. It works for some people, but then it doesn't work for other people. So, are you ready? Let's get started. So the first thing I want to say is that I find it quite intriguing how a lot of people place a lot of importance on learning grammar when learning a foreign language, even though they don't really understand the grammar of their own language. So they can use their native language, but they don't really understand exactly how it works. So why are we so fixated on learning the grammar of another language? It's probably because we think that if we read the rules, we will be able to use the language naturally and we will become fluent more quickly. But actually, learning a foreign language is quite similar to acquiring your native language when you're a child. When you're a child, you're basically surrounded with language, and you listen to it, you hear the same words and the same structures over and over again, and somehow they get solidified in your memory. So maybe there's something we can learn from this process when learning a foreign language. And I'm basically going to recommend that you try to get a feel for the grammar of the language you're learning, rather than actively learning grammar first. Before you even start reading about the grammar rules of the language you're learning, try to get a feel for it. So what I'm trying to say is that you should read a lot and you should listen a lot, and you will be able to see how different sentences are made in the language you're learning, and you will get a feel for the grammar. You will begin to identify the different structures, the different ways that words go together in the language you're learning, without necessarily learning the rules. So basically what you're doing by reading and listening a lot, you're hearing the same structures over and over again. And the more you hear them, the more familiar they become, and you begin to see patterns in the language. So you begin to understand that there are certain rules and patterns that govern the way the language you're learning is structured, without necessarily being able to explain what these rules are. But that way you kind of get a feel for the grammar, and you familiarize yourself with the structure of the language, so that the next step can actually be about reading the rules, reading about what the rules actually are. And when you read them, they kind of make more sense, because if you just picked up a grammar book without knowing anything about the language or being exposed to it in any way, you might read them and you might think, yeah, that makes sense, but how do I actually use it in context? Whereas if reading the rules is the second step, after getting a feel for the grammar, you're kind of familiar with the language already, so you will find it easier to understand how the rules work in practice. The second thing I'm going to recommend, in addition to familiarizing yourself with spoken and written language, is learning phrases, because obviously, every phrase you learn contains grammar. Everything you say in a foreign language contains grammar. Even if you don't know what this grammar exactly is, if I say in English, "How is it going?" that phrase contains grammar. And there are certain rules that you could identify when looking at this phrase. It's got a tense, it's got a certain type of verb, a certain type of form of that verb. So the grammar is included. But you can actually learn the phrase without knowing what the rules are. And, you can do it, because you need those phrases to be able to speak. And speaking or communication is usually the primary aim of learning foreign languages. And you definitely shouldn't wait with speaking until you know a lot of grammar to be able to construct sentences. You can definitely learn sentences without knowing the rules behind them, if you know what I mean. And that will allow you to start speaking more quickly. So these are the main two things that I wanted to recommend in this video. And of course, I'm going to say that for some people, this won't work. Some people just like to take a grammar book, read the rules, and then move on. So try different things and see what works for you, but I definitely recommend familiarizing yourself with the language first, hearing things, reading things multiple times, and learning different phrases, and then moving on to the formal kind of rules. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!